Good evening, fellow Toastmasters.
Good evening.
Yes. Good evening. Tonight we're going to be talking about sales, and I thought, what would be a good idea to talk about during a sales training exercise, so that we can all learn a little something from this exercise, because we may not all be in sales. But at each point in our lives, we have to do some type of selling. Maybe we're selling ourselves, our personality, or maybe a concept, or maybe even possibly an idea. So I thought, okay, well, let's talk about Toastmasters. And how would we sell Toastmasters to maybe a new prospective person that's coming in, or to somebody else that's coming in and they want to find out what the benefits are. Now, when we walk through our sales approach and working with people, and a PowerPoint would be great so that y'all could take notes, but you're just going to have to jot down some notes anyways, okay? When they first come in, or when anybody comes in, if they're a Toastmaster and they're coming to a club, they're a retail customer and they're walking into your store, you're going out to greet them and you're possibly walking into their store to possibly sell them something, you need to build rapport. You need to be able to build that relationship with them. You might say, "Hi, how are you doing today?" Might be a good start. And then from there, you got to build the relationship and find out why they are there, or maybe they need to find out why you are there. For this particular exercise, we're going to use the Toastmaster or a retail position where somebody comes in and you are the salesperson and you need to build that rapport. So in the example of Toastmasters, someone comes in this evening. As this evening we've had a guest come in, and we want to know, what brought you here? Why did you come in today? And these are the questions that we would ask to begin to develop that rapport. Are you here because of school? Do you need to give a presentation at school? Oh no, you have a little dialogue going back and forth. Are you here because of work? Have you been promoted to a new position at work that now you have to talk in front of a group of people? Oh, okay. So you're starting to get a little feedback? No, that's not it. Oh, well, tell me why you're here, and you keep down that line, I guess that path, if you will. And asking questions to find out why they're there. So tell me a little bit about why you are here. They begin to finally tell you and maybe open up, because sometimes it's a little bit harder to get people to talk. And they tell you, oh, well, I've got to do this, or I need to give a speech at a wedding. And I thought that this would be a great environment for me to learn how to give a speech in front of a wedding, because I'm really, really nervous about it. But perfect. This is a great opportunity. Here, you can begin to learn to speak in front of a group of people without being so nervous. You don't have to shake so much, be so nervous, or wonder if you're going to mess up, because you can do it all here. You can leave it out on the floor. You can drip with sweat here, just let it fall. You can shake because you're so nervous that it might actually be good. That might be good for the wedding. I don't know. That could be good, right? I've seen people do that. I saw a guy give a quick speech the other day at an unfortunate event, which was a funeral, and he hopped up there and he made a number of jokes, and it was actually kind of funny. But it was what was needed at the time. And believe it or not, our theme today is Facebook. He read what the person who had passed away, which was my uncle, had written on his Facebook page. And it was really, really funny, actually. And it was good timing, because it was right at what people need to hear at the right time. So, dialing back from the funeral and back to the wedding. Okay, you're going to give a speech at the wedding. Well, what can you learn here at Toastmasters? This is where you begin to sell the idea, the concept to an individual. Well, this is what you can learn at Toastmasters, to be able to present and talk in front of a group of people and maybe give something inspiring, maybe a thought or an idea about that person you're going to give a speech about. Maybe you want to share a wonderful story about that person and how that other person is going to be wonderful for that other person's life. In other words, it could be, you're the best man, you're giving a speech, you get up and you talk about the soon-to-be husband, or I guess the husband at the end, and you say, well, you give a great story about why that person will be a great fit for the other person. Now in doing that, I'm trying to find my way here. Y'all feel me trying to find my way? I'm coming up with this speech impromptu, and of course you're not supposed to say that. You're not supposed to do what I'm doing, but that's okay. I do this all the time. It's a lot of fun. You got to continue to talk and do it impromptu. You got to talk it out sometimes. I keep going all over the place. We're going to talk about weddings, and we're going to talk about Toastmasters, and we're going to talk about funerals. This is a terrible sales pitch. But really, when you come back to the concept of building the relationship and then selling the idea, how are we going to get across the idea, and where's going to be the benefit for the person in that? Could it be that we need to find out what actually hampers them when they get up and they're talking in front of a group? Do they feel like they get their words mixed up? Do they feel like they don't have enough inflection in their voice? There's not enough highs, there's not enough lows. Is there body language that they need to incorporate? You know, do they need to step from one side to the next? Do they need to slide a little? Do they need to not clasp their hands as much as I'm doing right now? Maybe so. Or maybe they talk like this. I've seen some people do this a lot. But they got to get their hands up. So it could be that. And you could be talking to that individual about this. Say, well, you know, these are some of the things we work on here at Toastmasters. We work on some of these things. It could be eye contact. It could be the way that you communicate with the room. You're looking around and making sure you're panning from side to side. And they say, oh, yes, that's exactly what I need. In their mind, hopefully you're uncovering these needs. And then once you land on it, and you as the salesperson, you land on, okay, well, one of the things, there's two things that I've picked up on in my dialogue or my discussion with them. Number one, they feel uncomfortable giving a certain kind of talk, and they want to work on that particular type of talk. For this case, it's a wedding. And the second thing is the eye contact. They feel like most of the time they look at the floor. And then when they do look up, they're really looking off in the distance to avoid the eye contact. You say, great, we can do that here. We can help you with that. Okay? Now, as you move through your sales pitch and your sales process, you come to the next stage. So you built a little bit of rapport, you've given some reasons why and tried to highlight why it would be good for them to join Toastmasters, telling them that, hey, you're going to be able to do this here, we're going to help incorporate that, we're going to give you some feedback along the way that's going to help you get a little bit better each time you give this speech. And you'll excel and you'll get better and you'll be more comfortable. We'll even dress up in tuxes if you need us to. Okay? That'd be a great attitude, wouldn't it? We should do that sometime. That'd be a whole lot of fun. We get white tablecloths. I'll try to pull one out. I'll break everything. And then I'll act like I'm drunk and I'll fall over. And then I'll get back up and I'll fall over the other way. And that would be the funny part. Oh, he's had too many. No, I haven't. I'm okay. You know, I'm just on. I just got off a ship. I'm not even in the Navy. That doesn't work too well. We're kind of landlocked here in San Antonio. That one wouldn't go over too good. No. See, there's some people that'll say that at a wedding and they'll bomb. And we'll realize there's no Navy here. Anyways. So as we're pulling, we're learning a little bit about that person. We also need to figure out what type of person they are. And what do I mean by that? So there are a lot of different type of people out there. You have, an example may be a person's a school teacher. Another person may be an architect. A person may be an engineer. They may be in construction. They may be retired. They may be a college student. They have all these different aspects. And along with that, how old are they? Where do they come from? You know, are they from Minnesota? Are they from Minnesota? I was waiting for that.
Sorry.
I was like, darn it, she's from Michigan. That's why I said it again, just to check. Or are they from Seattle? Are they from New York? Are they from Europe? Are they from Spain? You know, or are they from England? Are they from Spain? Wherever they're from. And then you find out a little bit about it. So first you're trying to develop what type of character, what type of person this is. So are they a school teacher? Are they a retiree? Their age category, where they're from, where they grew up, maybe what their background is a little bit. As you're having this conversation with them, you're kind of pulling out those tidbits. You're saying, oh, oh, oh. And you're kind of, it's almost like lobs you're catching. Ooh, 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 ooh. And then what do? Well, you start, in a way, hurling them back. Okay? And this is softball. You need to softly lob this stuff. Great. I hear you. Now, what am I really saying when I'm doing this? So you told me you're a school teacher. I'm going to loop this back around. And I'm going to tell you why this will benefit a school teacher. If you're a school teacher, you just graduated and it's your first year and you're teaching first graders. Or you're teaching seventh graders in science, let's say. Well, when you get up in front of them, maybe you need to have more fun with them. Maybe you need to be a little bit more loose. Maybe you need to be a little bit more dynamic. Do you feel like the classroom gives you a lot of tension? Do you feel like you're not communicating well with them? Are you not getting through? Is the story not getting passed? In other words, they're not picking up what you're throwing down. And maybe that's what you need to say. Well, here you can test out a lot of different varieties. Maybe you videotape yourself like I do, and then you watch it, and you watch the playback and say, gosh, am I even connecting with the audience? Because that's truly what it's about. Now let's say they lob you another passenger. It's a different person and they're a construction worker or an architect or an engineer. Okay? And you throw it back on them. Great. Let's talk about technical stuff. So what type of job do you have? They tell you, I'm an engineer, I'm an architect. How are we going to talk about that? How can Toastmasters help me communicate to all these other architects and all these other construction workers so that they understand what I'm saying, so that I communicate with them in the proper language that they want to hear? Now, are they going to want to hear a wonderful story about flowers and meadows and sunshines? No, probably not. They're going to want to know about nuts, bolts, construction, the depth of the hole, how deep it goes, how much concrete, how much water to concrete. That's what they're going to want to know. How do you give a technical presentation that's going to outline what architects or engineers need to hear? If you're working on specific items, like I do, I'm actually in sales, and I sell construction equipment. I build commercial playground equipment. And sometimes when I'm talking to architects, I need to line it out. Sometimes there's not a lot of humor there. They're dry and they are numbers people. They want to know what's in the guts of it. So this person tells you they're an engineer. They just walked in tonight. Great. We have technical presentations where you can get up and you can build a PowerPoint. You can give as much about bolts and rust and corrosion and everything here. And then what we'll do is we'll give you feedback on that. And we're going to teach you. Okay, eliminate that portion of it because the sunshine portion is not going to be applicable to your crowd. It's not going to go along with your audience. So we've taken the school teacher perception, right? And we've wheeled it back at them in a way that speaks to them directly. We've taken the construction or the architect or the engineer and we've wheeled that back at them. And we've spoken to them directly. In other words, I'm not going to tell somebody who says, I do technical presentations for a living, I really need help doing that. Great. Well, what we can do is we could really help you add some humor into that. Or, we can really get you on that entertaining speech portion of it. Or we can help you with evaluations and you can learn how to do management styles or start talking about the leadership portion of our program because that really wouldn't be applicable to why they're there. They're really there for that particular portion of it. Now let's say we have a young manager. Somebody's just gone into a management role. They're very nervous about this role. They haven't been in a leadership role before. They lob it to you. You get it back to them and you say, great. We have a wonderful leadership program here. You can get up here and you can stand in front of the lectern and you can run a meeting. And running a meeting in front of people and looking at them eye to eye and being able to communicate effectively what you want, what you need, how you want it done, the way that you're going to get it done is exactly what people need to hear. I need you to mop this floor, clean these tables, wipe down all the seats, and then when you get back, we need to clean off all the dishes. We need to ensure that all the dishes are clean and dry, that they're up on the racks, that they're off of the ground, so that when the inspection comes through, that we're all clean and ready to go. And then everybody needs to make sure that they clock out on the way out. Now these are leadership skills that they can work through by talking here, building a group, and running a team. Okay, we have our president, we have our vice president of education, we have our vice president of public relations, we have our media person, and each one of them is going to have something different. And if you take on the role of president, you're going to help guide each one of those roles. And by guiding each one of those roles, you're going to help learn to manage people in an environment that's away from your work, to where you can get feedback from everybody and learn how to better lead as an individual. So what we've done is we've taken, through our dialogue, we always want to know, we want to pull away the things that are going to be able to feed back to them and sell the program to them. So we took the teacher, we took the engineer, we took a manager, so we took different sales approaches to each of those individuals. And it could be somebody that's a retiree. Well, they could be here for no other reason than to really just hang out. And there's people that do that. And there's people that get really involved with Toastmasters and they're retired. But it's really because they need more of a social element. So when they give you that portion of it and we lob it back to them, we're just giving them exactly what they need. This is a great environment to meet people. We have a lot of social events. We have picnics. We have parties. We have outside bingo night. Okay, we don't have any of those. But they're coming, I think. Anyways. That was good, right? That was good. Y'all like that. We got to bring a little bit of humor, see? I'm bringing it back home because we haven't had any picnics. Or any dinner parties. No bingo, we're missing my favorite. Can't wait to watch that on video later because that was horrible movements. Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I've never even done that before. But who cares? That's okay. As long as we stay along with what we're doing here. Or as long as I continue with what I'm talking about. When we talk to people and we're communicating, we want to develop all those reasons. We want to give it back to them, just what they gave us. And for that, you know, like the retiree type person, it could be that really what they want is that social interaction. And we need to just tell them that. They don't need to know about the leadership. Oh, you can get up here at the lectern, you can run meetings, you can do all that. We got the timer roll. Woo, man. We can't wait to click that timer. And, you know, and then we're going to do some other stuff, some Wordmaster, a little bit of grammarian. They're like, I just wanted to come hang out, drink some coffee. And that's all it is. That's all it is. And you're like, that's all we do here. We just drink a lot of coffee, we eat pancakes, we drip some syrup on it. Whipped cream, woo! You know, and then we high five at the end of that, we're gone. They're like, sign me up. No problem. That'd be $300. Okay, it's not that much. That'll be like pay for a lifetime. When we're communicating, we should be able to close in the process of communicating. Okay, for a sales training, a lot of times they want to talk about your close and how do you close a person. And somebody comes in, and really this would be more for like a retail setting. Well, you want to buy this because of this. You told me you like leather, so why don't you buy this leather couch? You told me you like this Cadillac. Well, we have a 4-door Cadillac right here. What don't you like about this one? It's got seat belts. It's got cruise control. Isn't that normally what they say? But that's not really how you close. That's how somebody who doesn't know how to sell closes. Because in the process of the dialogue, when you're doing when you're giving back the information, that's the close. That's probably the most important thing I can tell you about sales. Is that in building that, and you're talking, and you're having that conversation, you're having that one-on-one with somebody, and they say why they're here, and you tell them right back why it'll benefit them in a nice, cohesive, short, concise manner, maybe a little bit of humor on it, depending on the type of personality again. That is the close. There is no close at the close. Anybody who sells you a sales system that says the close is at the close, and we're going to sit down here and we're going to hardline close you, doesn't know how to sell. That's not how you sell. I've tried it years, and it never works that way. You've done a poor job at the beginning. You didn't build rapport. You did a poor job asking questions. You did a poor job building dialogue or having dialogue. And you didn't even find out why they're there. And now you're trying to hard press them and close them. And every one of you has been in those hard pressed closes. Have you not gone into a store and they're just like grilling you, and you're like, you're starting to sweat and perspire, and you're like, get away from me, leave me alone. And all they're trying to do is push the product or push the concept or the idea on you. And how uncomfortable does that make you? It makes you uncomfortable. It makes you want to create more distance. It's because they didn't ask you. They didn't talk to you. Hi, how are you doing today? Great, I'm doing great. Perfect. Me too. It's a great day outside today, isn't it? Yeah, it sure is. So what brought you in today? Oh, well, I'm doing some remodeling of my house. I was looking at building some shelves. Looking at buying some of this, some of that. Really? Great. So how's the project coming along? Oh, it's coming along. Blah, 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 blah. The dialogue goes a little further. You should be able to pull out pieces of that they told you that they're going to buy at your store, if you're like at Lowe's, for example. And then you just give it back to them. And you've closed. And they're like, yeah, that's what I need, that's what I need, that's what I need. Great. And you put it in the cart and you walk in and they check it out. There is none of that process that comes behind. But anybody who's bored the job of selling will try to hard close you at the end because they haven't done the work in the beginning or in the middle. Because that's really where the close is at. So, build rapport, ask great questions, feed them the information that they need only. Nothing more. And that's how you close the sale. Mr. Swanson.
Thank you, Bryan.